Have you ever woken up in a cold sweat, heart pounding in your chest, because in your dream, you were dying? Or perhaps you were not dying at all, but watching yourself morph into something entirely unrecognizable. A creature, a shadow, or a stranger with eyes you could not face. Most people wake from these dreams with a heavy knot of dread in their stomach. They search the internet for quick answers, terrified that a dream of death means bad luck or impending tragedy. But what if your terrifying night visions are not a warning of destruction, but an invitation to a rebirth? According to the pioneer of analytical psychology, Carl Jung, the psyche never speaks in literal truths. It speaks in the ancient, fluid language of symbols. When your inner world tears down your old reality in a dream, it is not trying to break you, it is attempting to heal you. By destroying the person you used to be, so the person you were meant to be can finally emerge. Every single night, while your conscious mind sleeps, your unconscious mind goes to work. It takes the pieces of your life that you have ignored, suppressed, or outgrown, and weaves them into dramatic stories. And among all the dreams you will ever experience, transformational dreams are the most powerful, and often the most terrifying. Think back to a time in your life when you felt completely stuck. Perhaps you were lingering in a dead-end career, holding on to a toxic relationship, or hiding behind a fake persona just to keep the peace with people around you. On the surface, you told yourself everything was fine. You smiled, you performed, and you moved through your daily routines. But beneath that calm surface, your psyche was suffocating. Your conscious mind was stubbornly clinging to the past, refusing to let go of an identity that no longer served you. And so, your unconscious had to intervene. It did not send you a pleasant message. It sent you a storm. It gave you a dream where your house was crumbling into ashes, or a dream where you were trapped underwater, gasping for air, or a dream where you watched your own funeral unfold in haunting silence. When you experience these terrifying scenarios, your immediate instinct is to fight them. You view them as nightmares. But Jung discovered that these dreams are actually moments of profound psychological compensation. The unconscious mind is creating an extreme experience to balance out the rigid, unnatural state of your conscious living. When your daily life becomes too artificial, too rigid, or too detached from your true self, the unconscious acts like a natural force of nature. It creates an earthquake inside your psyche to shatter the walls you built around your soul. To truly understand why these dreams happen, we must explore what Jung called the process of individuation. Individuation is the lifelong journey of becoming your true, authentic self. It is the path of integrating the conscious ego with the vast, uncharted depths of the unconscious mind. However, individuation is not a peaceful walk through a quiet garden. It is a fiery, chaotic process of psychological death and rebirth. For something new to grow inside you, something old must first rot away. The ego. That part of you that says, "I am this role, I am this job, I am this reputation," hates change. The ego craves safety, predictability, and control. It will fight with every ounce of its strength to keep you comfortable in your familiar cage, even if that cage is slowly killing your spirit. This is why transformational dreams often feel like horrors. The panic you feel in the dream is not the death of your soul. It is the resistance of your ego. The ego feels like it is being murdered, when in reality, it is simply being stripped of its outdated armor. Let us look closer at the specific symbols that appear when the psyche is preparing for a rebirth. One of the most common symbols of transformation is the dream of death itself. In a death dream, you might see yourself dying in a car crash, falling from a great height, or being executed by an unknown figure. Alternatively, you might find yourself standing over the casket of someone you love, weeping uncontrollably. To the novice dream interpreter, these scenarios sound horrifying, but in the symbolic language of Jungian psychology, death is never the end of existence. It is the end of a state of consciousness. When you dream of your own death, your unconscious is declaring that a specific version of you, a specific belief system, a persona, or an emotional pattern, has run its course. It is time for that version of you to be buried. If you dream of the death of someone close to you, it rarely portends harm to that actual person. Instead, that person in your dream often represents a projection of a quality within yourself. If you dream your overly protective mother dies, It may mean your own internal need for overprotection is finally dissolving, forcing you to step into true independence. Another deeply profound symbol of transformation is animal metamorphosis. You might dream that your skin is peeling away like that of a snake, or that wings are tearing out from your shoulder blades, or that your body is slowly turning into a wolf, a bear, or a bird of prey. These dreams tap into what Jung identified as the collective unconscious, the deep layer of the human mind shared by all human beings across time, filled with primal archetypes and ancient wisdom. When you transform into an animal in a dream, your psyche is calling you back to your instincts. Modern life forces us to live in our heads, constantly analyzing, worrying, and suppressing our biological, intuitive nature. Turning into an animal signifies that your unconscious is attempting to restore energy, wild passion, and untamed power back into your life. Shedding skin, in particular, is a universal archetype of renewal. The snake does not shed its skin because it wants to look different. It sheds its skin because the old skin has grown too tight, restricting its growth. If the snake does not shed, it dies. Your psyche operates on the exact same law. Water and fire are two other primordial elements that dominate transformational dreams. Have you ever dreamt of a massive tidal wave rising on the horizon, rushing toward you while you stand paralyzed on the shore? Or a wild blaze burning down your childhood home, leaving nothing but black cinders? Fire and water are the ultimate instruments of purification in mythology and alchemy, both of which Jung studied exhaustively to understand the human mind. Water represents the vast reservoir of the unconscious itself. A tidal wave is not a sign of literal destruction. It is a sign that a flood of suppressed emotions and psychic energy is washing over your rigid ego structure. The wave collapses the walls you built to protect yourself from feeling pain, grief, or desire. It drags you into the depths so that you can learn how to swim in the truth of who you are. Fire, on the other hand, is the alchemical crucible. It burns away the impurities, the illusions, and the false identities. Whatever survives the fire is pure, indestructible truth. When you dream of fire, your psyche is burning away the noise of who you thought you were supposed to be, leaving only the gold of who you actually are. There is a famous historical story from Jung's life that perfectly illustrates how transformational symbols work, both in dreams and in real life. It is the story of the golden scarab beetle. Jung was treating a young woman who was exceptionally rational, highly educated, and psychologically guarded. Her mind was so rigidly logical that no therapeutic technique could break through her intellectual defense mechanisms. She was stuck in a deep mental prison, unable to connect with her emotions or undergo any real psychological growth. One afternoon, during a session with Jung, she was telling him a dream she had experienced the night before. In her dream, someone had given her a valuable piece of jewelry, a golden scarab beetle. As she was describing this dream to Jung, he heard a soft tapping sound on the window behind him. He turned around and saw a large insect knocking against the glass, trying to get into the dark room. Jung opened the window and caught the insect in his hand as it flew inside. It was a scarabide beetle, a rose chafer, whose golden-green color made it look remarkably like a piece of golden jewelry. Jung held out his open hand to the woman and said, "Here is your scarab." That single moment shattered her rigid, hyper-rational worldview. The unbelievable mathematical impossibility of that event occurring at the exact moment she narrated her dream broke her mental defense mechanisms wide open. From that moment on, her therapy transformed, and she began a profound process of psychological rebirth. In ancient Egyptian mythology, the scarab beetle was the ultimate symbol of rebirth and the rising sun. The beetle rolls a ball of dung across the earth, from which new life eventually emerges. To Jung, her unconscious mind had selected the scarab symbol precisely because her soul was crying out for a rebirth, and reality responded in kind through what Jung termed synchronicity. This brings us to a vital distinction you must keep in mind when exploring your own dreams. You must never rely on cheap dream dictionaries that give you flat, rigid definitions. A dream dictionary might tell you that a dog means loyalty, or a snake means betrayal. But Jung understood that symbols are alive, dynamic, and deeply personal. A snake to a person who keeps reptiles as beloved pets carries an entirely different meaning than a snake to a person who was bitten by a cobra in childhood. Symbols cannot be read like words in a dictionary. They must be felt like chords in a piece of music. When a transformational symbol appears in your sleep, it is not offering you a fortune-telling prediction. It is presenting a live, dynamic energy within your mind right now. It is asking you, what part of your life is dying? What part of your life is begging to be born? Many people make the mistake of running away from the dark and uncomfortable themes in their transformational dreams. When they dream of falling into a dark abyss, they wake up, turn on the light, and try to forget it as quickly as possible. When they dream of a monster chasing them through a dark forest, they view the monster as an enemy. But in Jungian analysis, the monster chasing you in a dream is almost always an aspect of your own shadow, a container of repressed talent, hidden passion, or unexpressed power that you have disowned because society told you it was unacceptable. The monster chases you not to destroy you, but to catch you, because it wants to be integrated back into your conscious life. Until you turn around in the dream, look the monster in the eyes and ask it what it wants. It will continue to hunt you in different forms. The key to navigating these intense psychological shifts is learning how to sit with the liminal space. The word liminal comes from the Latin word limen, which means threshold. The liminal space is that uncomfortable, terrifying period when the old version of your life has died, but the new version has not yet taken physical form. You are standing in the doorway. You are no longer who you were yesterday, but you do not yet know who you will be tomorrow. Our culture teaches us to hate this space. We are told to instantly fix everything, to have every answer, and to immediately jump from one identity, relationship, or goal to the next without missing a beat. But real growth requires you to stay in the dark for a little while. Consider the life cycle of a caterpillar. When it enters its chrysalis, it does not simply grow wings overnight. Inside that dark, quiet cocoon, the caterpillar completely dissolves. It turns into an unrecognizable liquid soup. If you were to open a chrysalis halfway through the process, you would not find a half caterpillar and half butterfly. You would find complete, chaotic dissolution. This is precisely what a transformational dream is reflecting. It is showing you the liquid soup stage of your own psyche. It is assuring you that feeling lost, feeling broken, and feeling like your foundation is dissolving is not a sign of failure. It is the mandatory biological and psychological prerequisite for wings to form. So, how can you practically apply Jungian wisdom to your own life when you wake up from a heavy transformational dream? First, you must change your relationship with the emotions of the dream. Instead of asking, "Why did I have such a scary dream?" ask yourself, "What part of my conscious identity is resisting change so strongly that my mind had to manifest this extreme scenario?" Keep a journal by your bed. The moment you wake up from a vivid dream, do not check your phone. Do not look at the news or check your messages. The light from your phone screen instantly pulls your brain into an analytical state, wiping away the fragile threads of dream memory. Write down every detail you can remember, no matter how nonsensical it feels. Focus especially on the emotional atmosphere of the dream. Were you terrified, liberated, grieving, or awestruck? Once you have written the dream down, use a technique developed by Jung known as active imagination. Find a quiet space where you will not be interrupted. Close your eyes and bring the central symbol of your dream back into your mind's eye. It could be the fire, the storm, the animal, or even the figure of death that confronted you. Do not try to control the image. Instead, step back into the scene while fully conscious. Speak to the symbol in your mind. Ask it directly. Why have you come to me? What are you trying to burn away in my life? What are you trying to build? Then, quiet your thoughts completely and allow an answer to emerge naturally from your subconscious. You might be shocked by the clarity and wisdom that surfaces when you give your inner world a platform to speak. Here are 3 core questions you should ask yourself in the days following a transformational dream. Question 1. What am I holding on to in my daily life purely out of habit, fear, or a desire for safety, even though I know deep down it has lost its vitality? Question 2. If I were completely unconcerned with the expectations and judgments of other people, what part of my nature would I finally allow to come to light? And question 3. Where in my life am I refusing to let something die? The ultimate message of Carl Jung's work on dreams is one of profound hope and personal empowerment. You are not a static, unchangeable creature. You are a dynamic, evolving process. The painful moments of your life, the heartbreaks, the career shifts, the existential crises, and the terrifying dreams that wake you in the middle of the night, are not evidence that you are broken. They are evidence that your soul is alive and actively resisting stagnation. They are the sound of the shell cracking from the inside out. The next time you find yourself in the midst of a transformational dream, when the fire sweeps through your house, when the wave rises to take you, or when you face the unknown creature in the dark, do not run away. Stand your ground. Look directly into the heart of the storm. Recognize that the death you are witnessing is merely the curtain falling on an old act of your life, making way for the stage to be cleared, the lights to be reset, and a far grander story to begin. You are not being destroyed. You are